market opportunities in EV. We will deep dive into the important subject of the automotive industry with Mr. Pranjal Mathur of Tata M Intelligence for Market Research. Let's introduce Mr. Mathur, who holds the position of Research Manager at Tata M Intelligence for Market Research LLP. Mr. Mathur specializes in go-to-market strategies, voice of customers analysis, and financial studies. In his capacity, he not only leads research endeavors but also guides consulting teams, showcasing a keen ability to grasp complex business challenges and formulate effective consulting solutions. Mr. Mathur's proficiency in the field of market research and consulting is widely respected across diverse industries. His contributions have made a significant impact, and we are pleased to have him here with us today. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Pranjal.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. By the time we can start, as you all know, I represent Tata M Intelligence and we are a business consulting and market research firm. And I'm here to talk about a very important topic that is going to become an opportunity of today and tomorrow as well. That is the aftermarket opportunity in EV or automotive components. EV is already growing. We all know that. We are transitioning from fuel to volts. That is also the topic of my presentation. But we all know that the aftermarket is not grown at all. It is at a very, very nascent stage right now. Literally, you cannot find any component at this point of time in aftermarket. So, with the growing EV industry, of course, the aftermarket will also grow. As we already know that the global level, Mr. Arunagiri has also mentioned about the total sales of EV at global level, which is somewhere around 8 million units. In India, the total sales is somewhere around 1.1 million. And majority of that is two-wheelers and three-wheelers. We are all talking about four-wheelers, and majority of the companies who are here are also into the four-wheeler industry. But surprisingly, the total four-wheeler EV is not less than 50,000 units sold in last year. And two-wheeler and three-wheeler contribute almost to like 90%, 95% of the market right now. So if we are talking about EV, then it's two-wheeler and three-wheeler that we should be talking about right now. And even the growth trajectory is for four-wheeler, it's not going to become a dominant in next 5 years. That is the reality. We live in that world where two-wheeler dominates Indian market, and we already know in standard traditional automotive also, it's two-wheeler which we deals with. In India, if you look at the whole automotive industry, it's two-wheeler contribute to somewhere around 75 to 80% of the market share still. And hence automotive is all about two-wheeler in India. As comparatively to United States or Europe or Japan or China, where four-wheeler has a very high significant share, India is a two-wheeler market. And hence the automotive component availability becomes very difficult. And as we all know, incident and accident happens almost every day in our country. So the replacement, what are we going to do with it? If I talk about my own incident, I had a minor incident with my Yamaha FZS, and I wanted the rim of the tire to be replaced in Pune. And the Yamaha service center guys couldn't find it out for 15 days. I had to wait for 15 days to get a rim in a major city like Pune, and that is a vehicle which is already existing into the market from decades. So the component availability must be there. We are looking at EV industry, and it's the talk of the town. How are we going to solve the component availability for EV when the traditional automotive component availability is still sometimes lacks for every manufacturer, not just one or two. It happens everywhere, every now and then. And if we look at the automotive supply chain, be it EV or be it the traditional one from fuels, rural is also a big market. For Mahindra, of course, rural is a big market. For Tata also, semi-urban and urban both are big market, and we can go on and on. Maruti, obviously. We know four-wheeler, two-wheeler everywhere. You can easily find vehicles everywhere. How are we going to manage the availability of resources, parts, and training and development of the human as well? As Mrs. Neelam has clearly mentioned about the human resource development, that is very important. At this point of time, we do not have any single technician who can actually repair an EV, because that capabilities needs to be developed, and it's a massive opportunity in future. There are thousands of companies that are going to come up in future who will be only dealing with the EV automotive replacement, EV automotive upgradation, and EV automotive service industry. I believe the event guys are finding it difficult to load the presentation by the time, so I will give you some glimpse of it. When we are talking about the EV market, I believe more than 4 lakh units of two-wheeler and three-wheeler both are sold in last year. In two-wheeler, Ola is the largest market shareholder with 21%, and there are many players now. And if we look at the charging facility, that is also one of the major challenge, because the charging infrastructure is another issue with EV. If I wanted to buy an EV, I have to go to a charging station and wait for hours just to get my vehicle charged. How many of us are ready to even invest that much amount of time standing or sitting on a car and waiting for it to get fueled up? We don't even want to waste 5 minutes for filling of the petrol and diesel. That's reality, that's what we do. How are we going to solve that problem? There's one solution which I really wanted to focus on right now, and that's solar power. I have traveled only last month. I was in Rajasthan. In remote cities, very small cities like Alwar, every third household already has a solar power. They have a solar panel on their home, which is reducing their power expenditure, because the electricity cost is highest in that state. And the sunlight is ample. We all know Rajasthan and Gujarat, how amazing it is. And it's not, India has enough sunlight availability. We don't have to worry about Europe. Like Europe has problems of sunlight, we don't have. So solar power can easily become a very big transition stage for power industry in India. And we already know that power availability in many states always happens like power shortages. Forget about small cities, states like UP still didn't achieve 24-hour power supply till date. I'm talking about today. And I'm born and brought up in Jhansi in UP. So I'm telling you, when I was a child, there used to be 6 to 8 hours power availability. Now it's just 20 to 22 hours. Still, it's not 100%. And we are talking about transitioning from fuel to volts at a very major scale. We have to first capitalize the power generation system, and that is already happening with the solar panels. How it is helping out? First of all, the establishment of solar panel is helping solving two major problems. The first one is the power bills that we have to give. It's 7,000 to 10,000 on an average for almost every household who has 2 ACs also. That's a normal bill nowadays. You calculate for 15 years period what is the investment cost of a solar panel at your home, and what is the total power bills that you're going to pay. Of course, solar is a very cheaper option. And if you have a solar, you are definitely going to buy an electric vehicle as well. Why? Because you can charge your vehicle at your home, free of cost. So technically, you just have to invest for the investment cost, which is for buying the vehicle that everyone is already doing, be it two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler. We are all buying vehicles. But the transitioning for EV industry will majorly happen with the development of solar power in India. And the best part is the government of India is doing very good job in terms of transitioning for renewable energy. They're providing subsidies for establishment of solar panels on our home as well. So if you have it, it's the best ways forward is to cope up with the future, get the solar panel installed. And that will be definitely helpful. So in terms of talking about what all is required, of course, many speakers have spoken about the regulatory bodies. Regulation should be upgraded, and there should be more about the regulations that we'll also discuss. So if you can see the first slide, it all talks about the market sizes and data in the real time. So as you can see, for two-wheelers, as I mentioned, in FY23, it was 7.27 lakh vehicles sold. Four-wheeler was just 48,000 something. Three-wheeler was somewhere around 4 lakhs, and EV buses, nothing, it's less than 2,000. And majority of the EV buses were actually the instrumentation was done by the government of India, especially in the states of Gujarat, where Nitin Gadkari personally is launching all these vehicles. So bus, we have a very long way to go. Two-wheeler, we already have achieved. Three-wheeler was the most amazing segment that is happening. The reason being, the three-wheelers are very lightweight. Development and manufacturing is very easy. You just need to put 2 batteries, that's it. From two-wheeler to three-wheeler, the transition is just of 2 batteries, and you don't need too much of assembly, and that's why the cost is also quite economical compared to the current traditional vehicles, and hence 3V is witnessing a massive traction. and there the aftermarket opportunity is also there. Two-wheeler, as you can see, Ola, of course, number one, but there are many players into the list, and none of them has more than 1/4 share of the market. No one has achieved it because the competition. And Ultraworld has also launched a sports bike in two-wheeler, which is electric. So it's amazing to see how Bharat is turning and changing its infrastructure from normal traditional to electric vehicles. We still are far away from the actual goals of Government of India, but we are going there. There are a lot of regulations that has come up. We all know about NCEM body establishment, NAB establishment, NEEMP establishment, and what all phases has happened in the past decade, and how Government of India is helping and supporting the electric vehicle development in the country. So I don't want to waste too much amount of time on this slide. Okay, so biggest challenges and the solutions, because we all are concerned about the solutions, not the challenges, not the problem. We all know the problems. What are the solutions for it? The biggest problem, low number of charging points, low number of charging stations. We can see the highest number of charging stations are in Maharashtra, which is just 317. It's nothing as compared to anything. Even CNG stations are more than that. So we really need to include more charging stations, but at the same time, we also have to look into the perspective whether the customers are ready to invest that amount of time in charging stations or not. The first thing which charging stations should do is implement the high charging cables, power chargers, just like our mobile phones has. But the problem is the cost of these charging cables comes around 80 to 90,000 rupees, which is very high cost. So that way we can capitalize and we can develop far better chargers, and hence if the charging time can be reduced from 30 minutes for high fast charging to 15 or 10 minutes, definitely that can be capitalized easily. If we look at the other problems, then lack of regulations obviously is there, but how can we expect the government to come up with the most perfect regulation right now when the EV is literally just starting? We worked as Data-M, we worked on EV market reports in 2016 and 17, where technically EV didn't even exist. We are still working on 6G technology and many other technology which is not even there in the world. The government also has to cope up with when it comes, then only they can work and they can create the regulations. And if we look into, there are someone who has also asked a question from panel that about the northeast part of our country, that they don't even get electricity power for many months, and that's actually a reality. I have many friends in Arunachal, in Namsa, in Tezu. They face power outage for shortage for months, and when it rains or when there is a landslide, and that's true. So there are issues with every place around the country, and of course the regulations and everything can obviously help us, but it takes time. And if we talk about the perfect systems, we all know there's just one perfect system which is 100% perfect, that is the production of ammonia, and the guy who invented it got Nobel Prize for that. No other system is perfect. So of course it's a development phase, it will come. So government regulations will obviously come. Financing cost for EV is very high at this point of time, and even the higher thing, the bigger problem is the replacement cost of battery, because battery technically contribute to almost half of the EV cost. So if I have an accident or incident within my car or bike which I'm driving as EV, the replacement cost will be literally half of the vehicle. It's too much. So that also only OEMs and tier 1s has to work together to reduce the cost of batteries, because damage of it literally, it's too much. If I talk about EV four-wheelers, Tata has many, already had launched Nexon EV, Nexon normal car is also there. The cost for EV for any of the manufacturer, it's very high, and a reinvestment of literally even the half of the cost is also another big investment. I can literally buy a Swift Desire at the cost of the battery replacement for the EV car. So that is where we have to work on. Shortage of trained EV professionals. I again came to that point because that is very important. I think there are institutions in Ahmedabad who are already working on it. One of them is here with us. So that part is already there are organizations which are helping the training and development, but it's a long way ahead, because we know that there's a shortage of the traditional vehicle maintenance guys as well. And And intermittent nature of electric supply, as I discussed about that, power availability is itself a problem, and we know that India is technically a coal-based economy. Transitioning to renewable is also a very big challenge. Still, the government of India is doing everything in their capacity and establishing power plants for solar and wind of in gigawatts. I know that in Bikaner and Gujarat, especially in the Kutch area, there's a lot of solar and wind units are being established. Every month you can see a new project coming up, and that is funded by Government of India. 2 gigawatt, 4 gigawatt, every day it's happening. So yeah, that thing is going to obviously help us out. If we look at the component outlook, EV automotive components is somewhere around 1.88 billion, but it's global, not India. When we look at the India market, these are all the major components. We can see the transitioning that's going to happen, especially in the aftermarket tires, fluids, but battery, of course, it's the biggest one. We have witnessed a massive transmission from the component part or in the traditional vehicle to the electric vehicle, how it's going to change. Of course, the same models are being launched for petrol, diesel and EV as well from the same companies. So we can see 40 to 60% of the same component, but what about the remaining component? That where we are going to capitalize the market. When we look at the aftermarket current status, battery pack contribute to just 95 crores. That's it. The total market of aftermarket EV components is barely 110, 120 crores. Tire contribute to 32, EV fluids around 8 crores. But the projection battery pack is going to go up to 530 crores by 2030. Tire value will reach around 100 crores. EV fluids will reach around 17.5 crores. Interior accessories somewhere 50, and other consumable also reach to 42 crores. This will be the aftermarket because the cumulative volumes of EV, as we see that 11 million was the total volume sales in 2023. We started from 96,000 in 1 year. For FY17, now we are sitting at 11.8 lakhs, sorry. It's 1.1 million. So you can see multiplied growth in EV, and definitely that will also result in the total component requirement in future, and that is a big growing market. I believe I won't get enough time to, okay. So let me also give you a glimpse about what we do as Data-M Intelligence. We are a market research and business consulting firm. We established 7 years back. We're still a startup, but we have already deployed 1,500 new reports, and that's what we are also exploring somewhere around 1,500 new markets every year. We have established in Hyderabad, but we have an office in Pune as well, in BT Kavda Road. And we already have worked with many of the Fortune 500 clients, and many of the companies whom we have worked are currently represented sitting here as well. We have worked with the Mexican government. We are very much embedded with them for automotive testing market. Eduardo Solis is the official company for Mexican government, and all the major decisions are taken by the CXOs of that company, and we are continuously in touch with them and worked on many consulting projects with them. So if you talk about Mexico automotive testing, Japan automotive testing, and UK automotive testing, we are definitely one of the pioneers in that. We publish every type of report, be it syndicate, be it client, and custom, especially the GTM projects. That's what we do with. If I talk about some other industries also, like Africa Development Bank, that is the pioneer bank, like corporate or entity in Africa who invest in all the projects. We are permanent partners of that. We have already worked in many projects in Cape Verde, Cote d'Ivoire, and many other parts of the Africa. So we work in all the aspects of the research and consulting, and we can provide guidance in everything. I personally held more than a decade experience in research and consulting, and everyone, our founder itself has 15, 20, 25 years of experience. So we are completely embedded into all the things, be it all types of marketed solutions. The most important thing is, how are we different? If you roam around Pune, you can find thousands of research companies, and I'm telling you openly. And many of the company names you might already know. It's too easy to find a research partner, but what do they do and how we are different? That is the biggest question, and we are the only one here in this exhibition. No one else came when we know that there are thousands of companies exist here. Magarpatta has around 100 plus companies, Bane Road around 200 plus companies. What we do is, we don't do that basic secondary which any guy can do it from Google. We do primaries only. We only do surveys, we talk to the people like you and gather the first and primary information. And that's what we rely on. Of course, the market according to one person or one entity or one company cannot be same for others as well, but we try to collate and analyze it and then present it in the most perfect way with all the analysis and trends. So I believe that's all from my side. Thank you.